They were cowboys from hell who lassoed the metal world by the throat.
That was really extreme metal before people called it extreme metal.
Pantera was the band in the 90s that you could actually say saved metal.
There wasn't anybody out there that could touch us.
We wanted to terrify people.
Pantera bludgeoned concert crowds, and led by guitarist Dimebag Darrell, partied even harder than they played.
Just to play the guitar, you have to get a couple cocktails in them.
It was out of control.
The only band that I've ever known that if you didn't drink, you'd get fired.
Pantera's brutal brand of metal forged a brotherhood. Then, in a single terrifying moment, it all came to a stunning end with the horrific onstage murder of guitarist Dimebag Darrell.
Stop, please. Stop shooting. You're killing all my friends.
Just like a cannon blast.
And a decade later, the loss of Darrell and the other victims are still commemorated in Dallas, Texas.
People come from all over the world.
And at the Alrosa Villa Club, where they died.
To me, this place is sacred. It's holy ground.
Now, put the pedal to the metal with Pantera.
We were a machine.
This is the story behind the music.
Don't underestimate the kid. You're crazy if you do. And I am the kid.
Pantera was founded by the Abbott brothers, Vinny and Darrell, in Arlington, Texas in 1981. By the time they disbanded it 22 years later, this increasingly heavy metal band had sold 20 million records. It all began when 11-year-old Darrell Abbott became a foot soldier in the Kiss Army. He enlisted with his neighbor, Rita Haney, who years later became his girlfriend.
I mean, my first concert was Kiss. His was too. I remember he almost cried because he missed Gene Simmons' Breathing Fire because some old lady in the back behind us was all stoned and put her cigarette out in his hair.
Kiss's Sonic Circus inspired Darrell to pick up an instrument of his own. On his 12th birthday, he got his first guitar.
The next thing I know, Darrell's standing in his room, got his guitar strapped on in a Kiss outfit. Got his face all done up like Ace Frehley in the whole 9 yards, you know.
Once he started playing, he was completely obsessed with the guitar. Took it to the bathroom with him.
As Darrell practiced power chords, his older brother Vinnie Paul bashed away on the drums. And in 1981, while still in their mid-teens, the siblings formed Pantera. The band's lineup was rounded out by bassist Rex Brown and vocalist Terry Glaze.
We started immediately jamming at Vincent Darrell's house out in the garage.
I got in the band, they said, you gotta wear spandex. I said, no way. But I eventually put on some freaking spandex.
There was wild stuff that went on in that house. Lots of things we weren't supposed to be doing. It was out of control. Vincent Darrell's house was party 24/7.
Pantera quickly became the kings of the Southwest spandex circuit, even before they were old enough to get into bars.
Man, we'd get calls from people, hey, we're having a keg party, we gotta have Pantera, man.
We were rock stars in that little universe that we were in. We were burning it up. A bunch of skinny little kids dressed like girls and spandex jumping up and down, singing about heavy, scary stuff.
They were arena ready before they hit the bars.
By 1986, inspired by the heavy grooves of Metallica and Slayer, Pantera shed their hair metal gloss for a more aggressive approach. Lead singer Terry Glaze's glam rock style didn't mesh with the band's new sonic philosophy and was fired, replaced by 19-year-old New Orleans native Philip Anselmo.
It was harder, it was edgier, it was walking more with swagger, you know?
They knew, and I knew right off the bat, the first time we had ever jammed, I had never played with a band this tight. I mean, these guys were stunning, you know, it was like, my God, you know, this is unbelievable.
He came down and we did a jam session together and it was just like, it all fell into place, you know. Let's just go out there and be comfortable, jeans, t-shirt, whatever, and see where it goes.
By early '89, Pantera's fiery new demos ignited the interest of Atco Records, which sent A&R scout Mark Ross to see the band perform at a birthday party in Dallas.
These four guys come on stage and they start spinning their hair. Like, oh boy, what are we in for here? But then Darrell just launches into one of his riffs, and then Phil opens that mouth of his, and this just roar comes out that just is overpowering from the get-go.
But Ross left the gig just 20 minutes into their set.
I think I turned around to Vince and go, he's split. You know, we'd had everybody come out and see us at a certain point. We were just like, so we got ripped.
All of a sudden, they start throwing birthday cake, and we start slamming drinks, and Diamond Rex are sliding around on the dance floor.
I mean, you couldn't even step on that floor without busting your ass.
As soon as we get done, the dude comes over to me, and he goes, man, that was one of the most incredible live bands I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, well, dude, how come you left about 3 songs into it?
I told him that, you know, I went to call my boss and say this was just unbelievable. We got to sign these guys immediately.
In the winter of '89, Pantera roared into the studio to record their major label debut. Released in July of '90, Cowboys from Hell served as a ferocious sonic blueprint.
You know, it was a whole new animal. Unbelievably powerful, it was undeniable, it was fierce as hell.
I was like, holy, you know, like, how did they do that? You know, how'd they go from here to here?
In the fall of '90, Pantera snagged the opening slot on a national tour alongside Suicidal Tendencies and Exodus. Though virtually unknown, the Metal Cowboys won over hardcore audiences with relentlessly intense performances.
We called that the Kill or Be Killed tour, and we went out and killed.
That was really extreme metal before people called it extreme metal.
We wanted to terrify people, you know.
Pantera slayed crowds across America and gave their touring RV a thorough beating in the process.
Bucket of bolts, 10 swinging on this thing, and it'd break down just every other night. The septic tank would fall out and everywhere, so a lot of fun.
Everywhere we went, we just barely made it from gig to gig. I actually drove the RV on that tour with Suicidal from Chicago to Minneapolis with no headlights.
And we got no headlights, and I'm like laying on the floor, like passing out, and he's like, oh, that car's coming, so I gotta reach down in there and put the wires back down to make the headlights work, and until they go by, and they're like, okay, and he's just driving, you know, by the moonlight, you know, and it's like, the car's coming up, lights, headlights, okay.
At the end of the 6 weeks or however long that tour was, every single thing on this motorhome was broken. Everything. It was insane.
We went up dropping that thing off in the middle of the night at the RV place we rented it from. Popped in the car, we drove off. Here's your RV back. Later.
The band also made history when they played Moscow in September 1991, where their free-spirited metal hell-raising touched a chord with rebellious Russian youth. 3 months later, the Soviet Union would collapse after 69 years. Pantera were poised to reach the heavy metal pantheon, but the rock-solid band would soon find itself on shaky ground. Next, Dimebag Darrell's 100-proof prescription for pain relief.
I was like, how you feeling, brother? He was just like, not too good, bro. It's just like just to play the guitar. You have to get a couple cocktails in them.
When Behind the Music continues. By 1991, Pantera had positioned themselves at the sharp tip of metal's cutting edge. They returned to the studio late that year to record Vulgar Display of Power with one ambitious objective: to obliterate the boundaries of heavy rock.
We were so possessed, really, and focused on what we wanted to do.
You can't be something you're not.
There wasn't anybody out there that could touch us. We kept getting, you know, heavier and heavier and tighter and tighter.
It was exciting to hear that they took it that far, that they took it that direction, and just went deeper and darker.
The album's intensity was matched in the mosh pits of Pantera's increasingly brutal stage shows.
I guess not everybody that goes to a rock show or a heavy metal show is going there to get their nose broken. You know, a lot of people want to watch. And I wouldn't allow it if I didn't get what I was demanding out of an audience. I guess I became furious.
I want to see you lose your mind. I want to see you catch some there. Everybody.
If you're a parent, you totally don't want your kids going to a Pantera show, either because they're going to come back with a bloody nose and black eyes, or just because they're going to come back so hopped up, you're not going to want to deal with them.
It's just an unstoppable wrecking ball. It's definitely beyond awesome.
Pantera's power grooves pummeled audiences, but the hard-partying band took their best shots backstage, where booze was chugged like water.
We would joke with people. They would say, how'd you get the opening slot? And we're like, well, you got to sign a contract that says you will drink with Pantera every night, otherwise you're thrown off the tour. People are like, really? I'm like, yeah, really.
How's it going, man? The only band that I've ever known that if you didn't drink, you'd get fired.
They went through unbelievable amounts of liquor backstage. I had to see the bills, so I was always shocked more than anybody else, I think.
7 and 7, stumbling around. You know that's right.
All of Pantera binged on the bottle, but no one guzzled with more gusto than Dimebag Darrell.
I was like, how you feeling, brother? And he was just like, not too good, bro. It's just like, just to play the guitar, you have to get a couple cocktails in them, but you'd always get out there and whoop ass, you know.
Couldn't even say his name, but just get up on stage and just wail on guitar. The nights that you thought he was going to be absolute shambles on stage were probably some of his most brilliant performances.
Dimebag made sure each killer gig was capped by unique forms of alcohol-soaked amusement.
Don would come up with all kinds of crazy. We'd be in the middle of bum, and he'd come up with some crazy-ass game to play, or, you know, just to break up the monotony, and that's the kind of cat he was.
One time we had hung all these, like, Hustler fold-outs and stuff on the wall, and he had bought this thing of green slime. We'd throw them, and if you hit the face or something like that, that wasn't good enough, you know, that's a shot of whiskey. If you hit a or something, or if you hit it smack dab on the crotch region of the young lady in the photo, I think you probably still had to do a shot of whiskey.
We had one of those breathalyzers on the road. Dime brought it in from somewhere, and so everybody would, you know, see how drunk you are. Oh, dude, you're not nearly drunk enough, you know? Pour him another shot.
By 1994, heavy metal had been declared all but dead in the wake of the grunge revolution. But Pantera was prepared to strike back with a vengeance, and they entered the studio to record their next album, Far Beyond Driven.
I remember one of the main thoughts going into that record was, we have to be heavier than Vulgar. This has to be a heavier record. And I was thinking to myself, how is that possible? You know, how do we do that?
Each record we wanted to outdo the next record.
And we just said, we're going to make the most balls out, kick-ass record we can make.
Far Beyond Driven was released on March 22nd, 1994. Without significant radio or MTV play, it debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts.
That was the most abrasive record I could ever imagine, and it went and blew up the charts at #1 and just scared everybody, which was great.
And it was funny because all the magazines you'd read and see it'd say, overnight sensation, Pantera. You know, we're like, we've been out slaving on the road for 4 hard years and 7 years in the nightclubs before that. It was a pretty exciting time.
For metal, to have a band like Pantera come out and enter the charts at #1, it just showed you that there's no way you can't kill this, because there will always be a band that's going to fly that flag in the face of everything else. And Pantera was the band in the 90s that did that you could actually say saved metal.
But the keepers of heavy metal's incendiary flame were about to get burned by their own lead singer. On the road promoting Far Beyond Driven in 1995, Philip Anselmo began distancing himself from the band.
he would just start freaking out about stuff, and nobody would know why. One night we were playing the sold-out show in Hamburg, and he didn't get the reaction that he wanted out of the crowd, and he just comes back there and says, "F*** y'all, I quit." You know, obviously he didn't quit, but this is when things started really going sideways, you know.
I can recall Darrell calling me and saying, "Look, man, I don't know what's going on with this dude, but..." You know, and of course everybody kind of thinks, well, you know, maybe it's the fame thing going to your head.
Anselmo attributes his erratic behavior to chronic back pain caused by years of violent on-stage performances.
It causes isolation. It causes your entire lifestyle to change. And at that point, Pantera was gigantic, and I had a job to do. Through pharmaceuticals or anything to get me up on that damn stage and desperately not feel that pain. I would drink an entire bottle of Wild Turkey before we went on to just be numb, which of course was affecting my performances and putting some worry into the band, you know?
But the band's separation anxiety would only deepen as their singer began treading a dangerous narcotic path. Next, Philip's dance with death.
This nurse leaned over and said to me, "Welcome back to life. You overdosed on heroin."
When Behind the Music continues.
It's incredible to play a show like this in front of all you people.
By 1995, Pantera was the heaviest metal band in the world. The Texas outfit's bone-rattling brand of musical mayhem shook the senses of millions of delirious fans.
When you buy a Pantera, you're going to get bludgeoned, you know what I mean?
Pantera is about as metal gets, you know?
We were a machine. That's the way we operated. All the parts fit together, you know. When we played, when we did some like I mean, we all hammered it together.
Just as Pantera was scaling their greatest heights, Anselmo was hitting bottom. Burdened by agonizing back pain, the singer's erratic antics threatened to take down America's toughest band.
He always complained about his back. We all told him all the time, get x-rays, go to the doctor, let's get it fixed so we can get on with this, and he never would.
They wanted to fuse the discs from the front, cut a piece of my hip out to use the actual bone as the cartilage part. And I was like, well, what's the recovery time on something like this? Oh, well, it's going to be about a year and a half. I'm like, a year and a half? No way, man. I've got work to do.
To maintain Pantera's frantic pace, Philip dabbled with more dangerous solutions for his perpetual pain.
I was really turned on to heroin. I realized that it would numb me out so much that the pain was gone. And that's like putting a Band-Aid over cancer.
As the drugs dulled Philip's pain, he continued to isolate himself from the band. During the recording of 1996's The Great Southern Trendkill, Philip cut his vocals in New Orleans, while Dime, Rex, and Vinny laid down tracks in Texas.
He would do his vocals, and then I would bring him back to Texas after 2 weeks, and they would hear him. So there was more of a disconnect between the two. It was the only way we could work at that time.
I was unapproachable. My mind was not my own, and it was filled with discord, if anything.
On July 13th, 1996, an hour after a triumphant homecoming show at the Starplex in Dallas, Texas, Philip overdosed on heroin. His heart stopped beating for nearly 5 minutes.
Somebody comes running around the corner and says, "Phil's out." I saw him laying on the ground blue and people hitting on him and all this, and I was like, damn, dude had heat frustration. Said, "No, dude, he OD'd on heroin." I'm like, heroin? You gotta be kidding. No way, not Phil Anselmo.
The paramedics get there and they put him back on the couch and give him a shot, I guess, of adrenaline and put the oxygen on him and pump his chest and revive him.
I didn't know what had happened. I had all these tubes hooked up to me, and I sat straight up. and threw up immediately. This nurse leaned over and said to me, "Welcome back to life. You overdosed on heroin."
The following night, Philip apologized to his bandmates and crew, but Pantera would never be the same again.
I had never felt smaller in my entire life. I begged for their forgiveness, and I promised them and I swore to them that this would never happen again.
It was definitely a wake-up call for all of us. It's like something that's been obvious in front of your face for years and years, and you go, aha.
I thought I could do anything, and there wasn't a damn thing that could beat me. I was wrong. I was wrong.
Philip's ongoing struggle with heroin was slowly tearing Pantera apart.
The dude was on a steamroller to self-destruction. I don't think anybody could have helped him.
There's a different look in everybody's eye. That inch of doubt that was never there before. The lack of trust. You know, where are you going, man?
When Phil was on, he was on. Darrell would have never taken that away from him or anything, but he was very embarrassed by him.
I relapsed maybe 2 more times, and I felt so guilty afterwards. I was like, why the hell? Why?
The Shell Shock Band didn't return to the recording studio for 4 years. 2000's Reinventing the Steel was packed with Pantera's sledgehammer swagger and earned the band a Grammy nomination in the process. But old tensions soon resurfaced on the road.
Darrell would make an effort to go over before the show to do a shot with him and go check on him after. He was pushing away all the people that really loved him and cared about him.
It was the same stuff, same song list, the same. Once again, the communication was so bad that no one would even go to Phil and talk about changing the set list before a tour started.
In late 2001, the band's tour was abruptly cut short by the tragedy of 9/11. They had no idea they had performed together for the last time. Next, the shot that reverberated around the metal world.
It was like a real bad movie. None of it seemed real whatsoever. None of it.
When Behind the Music continues. After going full throttle for nearly 2 decades, Pantera hit the brakes in the fall of 2001. But vocalist Philip Anselmo wasn't ready to pull back. He quickly returned to the road with a side project called Down, joined by Pantera bassist Rex Brown.
The last thing that he told us when we finished Reinventing the Steel tour was like, I'm going to go home and take a year off. My back's hurting. I'm done with this for a while. A month later, he's putting out the Down album and recording it.
He even said, I'm not trying to tour on it. In 6 months, you'll have your new Pantera record.
I mean, I could sit here and just keep going and going. Any free time I had, I would start something that would turn into something awesome.
Then he puts out Superjoint, goes out tours for that. Then he does another Down tour, and then another Superjoint record. Okay, this is not what he told us.
I mean, how long do we gotta wait around for this thing?
With Philip focused on pet projects Superjoint Ritual and Down, Pantera's short break turned into an extended vacation, and for nearly 2 years, the singer remained out of touch with Dime and Vinny. In 2003, with Anselmo AWOL, the Abbott brothers reluctantly abandoned the only band they ever knew.
We were sitting there rotting away. 2 of the best musicians on the face of the earth that play that kind of music were sitting there and having to take it in the face. No future, no nothing, just sitting there wondering what the is happening.
You know, this is like these 2 kids who've basically built this family business from the ground up, and then all of a sudden, they can't run that business anymore.
The idle time sent Dimebag Darrell into a spiral of depression.
You know, he'd never been off that long, and that was probably the worst 2 years, I think, of his life.
He'd call me loaded or whatever, and I just go, dude, what's going on? He's just like, I'm just bummed out, man. I go, well, Dime, look at it this way, man. Good Lord gave you a gift. He put it in your hands, man. I said, you're the best guitar player in the world. I said, just get out there and just, you know, get Vinny, get some ass-kicking musicians with you.
By late 2003, Dime and Vinny formed Damageplan, releasing their debut album, Newfound Power, in early 2004.
It was weird for the fans. You know, they wanted Pantera. I mean, you've been serving people Coca-Cola for 200 years, and then all of a sudden you tell them we're changing the flavor and it's now going to be called Diet Right, you know?
Dimebag had made his peace with the perils of Pantera, but his contentment would be short-lived. On December 8, 2004, Damageplan was wrapping up a 2-month club tour at the Alrosa Villa in Columbus, Ohio. But the gig would quickly turn tragic. 10 seconds into the set, 25-year-old ex-Marine Nathan Gale stormed the stage, brandishing a 9mm pistol.
I just screamed as loud as I could, and bam, bam, bam.
I just remember screaming, he's shooting something, and Vinny came off the drum riser, and he's coming at me, and he's going, he just shot my brother, he shot my brother.
I went to jump from behind the drums to run out and help. And John, Dom's guitar tech, tackled me and held me on the ground.
As soon as I knew he was pointing the other way, we both ran across the drum riser and got to the other side of the stage.
It kept going on, and he picked me up and shoved me and said, run, man.
Go! 911, what's your emergency?
This is Alrosa, we have a shooting.
911 emergency.
Alrosa Bar, please, we need help as soon as possible. Oh, my God.
911.
He came in with a gun and started shooting people.
Oh,
you're still shooting. He's on stage right now, he's got a gun.
The guy's on stage with a gun?
People were trying to rush the guy, and he shot a couple of people to keep him away. The whole time he was looking for Vince.
After rushing to the aid of the mortally wounded Dimebag Darrell, drum tech Cat Brooks tried to subdue the gunman.
I went after the dude and said, you.
Cat was fighting with him, and he kept telling Cat to settle down, and he wouldn't.
And kept shooting me. And just kept telling me, stay down, stay down. So I'm like, quit shooting, quit, stop, please, stop shooting. You're killing all my friends, stop it. And he goes, shut up, bitch.
I looked over my shoulder and I heard the chaos, and I look, and there was an officer coming through the door.
And immediately I saw someone laying there that was bleeding. There was a small group of security guards standing there saying, he's there, he's there.
Columbus policeman James Niggemeyer was the first of 8 officers to arrive at the scene, just 3 minutes after receiving the dispatch call at 10:18 p.m.
I motioned for the officer over there, and I said, yeah, you gotta kill this guy. He's gonna kill more people. He's got my friend.
As I started working across the back of the stage, he then moved the gun to the hostage's head. And as soon as he put the gun to the hostage's head, I realized that I had to do something to try to save the hostage.
And then just all at once, he just took aim and he just leaned back real slow.
I watched him click the safety with his finger, and when he clicked the safety, I just plugged my ears and turned my head.
I stopped and pulled the trigger.
It was just like a cannon blast.
All of a sudden, the weight was off me, and I was like, somebody got him.
I see, brother. He had a gun to his head. You had to do it. Save the man's life.
And it was over. It was over just like that.
I looked up, and he was down, and Cat was moving, and at that point, I ran to the floor where they had Dime on the floor.
And Vinny kept calling me, and he still didn't know nothing. And then when he called me back and said, my brother's dead, and that's all he could say. And we both just cried.
It was like a real bad movie. None of it seemed real whatsoever. None of it. None of it. And that was that, man.
In the end, 5 were dead, including Dimebag Darrell. Cat Brooks suffered gunshot wounds to the chest, arm, and leg, but was released from the hospital within 3 days of the shooting. It is now believed that Gale killed Dime because he thought the band could read his mind and was stealing his thoughts. The brutal onstage murder of 38-year-old guitarist Dimebag Darrell Abbott in December of 2004 sent shockwaves reverberating among everyone who knew him or were touched by his music.
Nothing like this has ever happened. Lennon, maybe. But Lennon wasn't shot and killed on stage. I mean, Dime was murdered on stage. It's just shocking.
I mean, I lost everything that night, you know. I just feel like somebody took a hacksaw and cut me right down the middle, took my right arm, my right leg, and my whole heart.
I would love it if 2 minutes from now he walked through that door. I still feel like he's going to. He would take me in his arms. Dad, I love you. Yes, I love that. Sorry. That's what I remember the best.
Yet Dimebag's memorial service was anything but somber. It was the ultimate rock and roll send-off, right down to the Kiss casket in which the fallen guitarist was buried.
There's all these rock stars coming in. It just looks like Headbangers Ball. There's Eddie Van Halen up there talking at the funeral service. He puts his guitar in the casket with Darrell. It's the guitar off of Van Halen 2. You know, the black one with the yellow stripe. I mean, it's the guitar. And all I can think is that, you know, back in the early days when we're teenagers, if someone would have said, Darrell, when you die, Van Halen's going to put that guitar in the casket with you, Darrell would have said, kill me now.
Dime was in his Kiss coffin, and everyone's putting like bottles of Crown in there for him. There must have been about like 15 bottles of Crown Royal, and I go, you think this is going to be enough for the trip upstairs?
It was amazing, but, you know, it's like I told Rita and my dad, you know, after all this is over, we're going to be 3 of the most lonely people in the world.
A prodigious roster of hard rock royalty gathered in Arlington, Texas to remember Dimebag Darrell Abbott. But one prominent musician was conspicuously absent.
And I'd flown to Texas to be there and bury my brother. And I sat in a hotel room for 5 days, waiting, sending message after message to Vinnie Paul and anybody else who would even care to hear.
They stuck the phone in my face and said, Phil's on the phone, and if you don't take the phone, he's going to show up. I got on the phone, and I instantly just said, why are you calling now? And of course, I started to cry. Why didn't you return the 9 phone calls when Darrell called you? I go, if you show up here, I'll blow your head off myself. And I hung up on him.
And I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral.
Rick Catella, who owned the club where Dimebag died, still has the radio commercial he made to promote the fatal gig.
Tonight, Damageplan in concert. They're gonna rip your head right off your shoulders. We're gonna need a barricade tonight. Damageplan with special guests.
But Rick soon had the club back in action, despite the physical evidence that remained.
I remember Rick, as he told me about tearing the blood-stained carpet off the stage and going out back and just throwing up over and over again.
I got email after email saying they should burn that club down. It just drove me crazy that bands would say, no thanks, we don't want to play there.
But when Rick announced they might close, he discovered what the fans were made of.
There was the biggest crowd we've ever had that night. And there was a line all the way around the building.
As for the surviving musicians, it was 10 months before Vinnie played again with his new band, Hell Yeah.
As long as we stand together, everything's gonna be alright.
The first show that Hell Yeah ever did was at Ram's Head Live in Baltimore.
and the security was so tight in there, they almost gave you a cavity search. And Vinny literally was hidden behind the drum kit. You could barely see him, but he was back there. I don't blame him. He was scared to get back on stage.
For Kimberly Davis, who has managed the band since 1994, it all seems like yesterday.
There's part of me that will never believe that this is where we ended up. The fact that the band is no more, that Darrell's dead, that it's over and will never be again.
Kimberly is determined to secure the band's legacy and has already re-released Pantera's first 2 albums, with more to come. She's in touch with all 3 surviving members of the band, whose lives have gone in very different directions since Darrell's death. Rex is now playing bass in Kill Devil Hill, alongside metal drumming legend Vinny Appice, who has played with Black Sabbath, Dio, and Heaven and Hell. But Rex is still proud of what Pantera achieved.
We worked very hard for what we did. Those days are over now. You can't go back to them, but I'm very proud of those days.
But they were days that took a shocking toll on Rex's health.
It was my pancreas that were full of stones, and they had to kind of sliver the pancreas and take all the stones out. That's from years and years of us partying our asses off, you know.
Phil is still working with Down, but remains angry about the press coverage that blamed him for Dime's death, and is bitter about the impact this has had on his reputation.
Sorry for your up, retarded, asinine program that smeared my name through the goddamn toilets of every house in America. You didn't have to live with it. I did. I resent it. I still resent it.
Phil claims that since he left the band, he has become a totally reformed character.
Believe me, I've taken a good, cold, long, hard stare in the mirror. I know who I am. I know the mistakes I've made. Therefore, I can move on.
I met him more recently when he was sober and not doing anything. He was a very nice, sweet person.
No more nips for the kid.
The kid also claims he has given up hard drugs.
There's no good reason to stick a needle of heroin in your arm. And I did it.
For the fans, the unanswered and unanswerable question remains. Might the band have got back together if Darrell had survived?
You know, I always thought the band would always get back together. You know, at some point we just needed time away from each other.
Phil would have jumped on stage and jammed with him, or Dime would have jumped on stage with Down, and they would have played again.
One of the two would have stuck out the olive branch and said, you know what, let's put all this behind us and let's just go out and just do a kick-ass, you know, a new album.
8 years after the shooting, Rita and Phil found themselves unexpectedly face-to-face at a concert in California.
I came out of the restroom, and when I looked up, I just didn't expect it was him. I go, I have one question first. I just need to know why. And, you know, he looked me right in the eye, and he said, I have no excuse. I was a junkie. And for him to say that, you know, that's all any of us wanted to hear.
I don't think he's responsible for Dime's death. I'm glad that Rita and Phil have made up.
Rita may have forgiven Phil, but is there any chance of Vinny doing so?
Probably not. And I'd say probably is not the word. Absolutely not at this point.
I don't think Vinny and Phil will ever make up. You know, he not only lost his band, but he lost his brother. You know, I think he does blame Phil in some ways.
Phil is so determined to make it up to Vinny that he has made him an extraordinary offer.
You know, Vince, if it's just this wall of anger and you feel like you need to just beat me up, I'll let you. I'll let you just beat me up as long as we can sit down after and talk.
Every year on his birthday, there is a Ride for Dime in Dallas, Texas.
To me, the Ride for Dime every year, it's a way to help bring closure to you know, tragic situations.
People come from all over the world to make a pilgrimage.
One thing I really admired about Darrell was that he didn't become all a rock star. I mean, he didn't move to Hollywood. He stayed right here in his hometown.
And I think that's why he's got such a big following. He was real. I think that's the takeaway. He was real.
Meanwhile, in Columbus, Ohio, they remember the unsung heroes who died that night. Aaron Hulk died tackling the gunman.
Not too many people in this world would have that kind of courage to go up and face a gun.
Jeff Thompson was working security for the band.
Had Jeffrey Thompson not reacted the way he did and engaged this man with a gun, Vinnie Paul would very likely not be walking the earth.
Nathan Bray also died that night.
His wife, Carrie, told me she feels like, perhaps what her husband did and his accomplishments, and same with Jeff Thompson and Aaron Hawk, is overshadowed. I get that.
To me, this place is sacred. It's holy ground. And, John Lennon in New York City has a monument where he died. To me, this place is their monument.
I can hear him in the background. Get your ass up, Anselmo. Put in the hard work. Young son, it's worth it. Every day.
And every day, musicians all over the world remember the man who gave music so much and lost everything.
No, he was just a ray of sunshine, man. If you were having the worst day ever, Dime would walk into a room and just cheer you up.
He was definitely the life of the party.
He was a rager, and he brought that huge personality and that huge style to the metal world, and he changed it forever.
He was able to write and play rhythm and play lead and be just as emotive through 1 or 2 notes as someone else could have been through 20 or 50 notes.
He's really influenced a whole new generation of guitar players.
I think he's the best metal guitar player that there was. He's up there with the Eddie Van Halens. He's up there with the Randy Rhoads. He's up there with the Jimi Hendrixes, the Jimmy Pages. He's in some good company.
You hear that guitar, and it does make you sad. You're just like, what a senseless waste that he's not around.
I love you, Dime.
Every year, Rita organizes Dime Bash in memory of her lost friend and lover.
Yeah, last year they did a version of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, and the feeling in the room, the hair standing up on the back of your neck just was amazing. Everyone singing it, but that was one of my favorite, most emotional times, that I like, and that song I hope never leaves our Dime Bash set.
He's gonna be a fantastic memory in my heart till I hit the dirt. And when it comes to Pantera and healing, all I can say is my door is wide open. We could probably end right there. Nobody's seen this for 100 years.